Hi there, Beech class. As your second writing challenge of the week, I've asked you to recount a recent birthday experience. Now, as well as using those skills we've already looked at, using subheadings and headings, and using adverbials which express time, I've got two new skills that I'd like you to think about this time. First of all, I'd like you to think about using conjunctions to add clauses to your sentences. And also, I'd like you to think about how to use adjectives to create expanded noun phrases. Now, I've created a modelled piece of writing and this short presentation to help you understand and then use these skills. Let's start with the model piece of writing. Now, I have created a recount, not of my own birthday, but my son Alfred's birthday from a couple of years ago when he was 1 year old. Alfred's birthday. There's my use of the subheading. On Saturday, 7th of April, oh, look, that's my first example of using an adverbial which expresses time. My wife, baby, Alfred, and I woke up feeling excited. It was Alfred's first birthday, and after we had eaten breakfast, we got into our car and, oh, look, that's my first example of a conjunction to add a clause, and drove to Ascot. It was a long way, but Alfred was really patient and well behaved. After an hour and a half, we arrived at my wife's mum's house. How excited Alfred was to see his grandma. At 12 p.m, the guests for the party arrived. Everyone brought some delicious food. Oh, delicious is my first example of using an adjective to create an expanded noun phrase. As well as a present for Fred. Alfred was happy to see so many people and waved them when they arrived. However, he was too little to know how to open his presents. His Granny Sue and Grandpa Tim bought him a fantastic bag of toys, and his Uncle Ross brought him an interesting book. In the afternoon, everyone ate lunch. The food was delicious. Then it was time for Alfred to have his birthday cake. After blowing out the candle, Alfred was given the whole cake and allowed to feed himself. First he put his hand inside, then he licked his hand. Finally, he threw the crumbs around. He was smiling a lot, although he got very messy. There he is. After lunch, Alfred played with his grandma's fluffy dog called Zim. Then he started to feel tired. We got into the car so that Fred could sleep on the way home. He had had a wonderful first birthday and had lots of exciting presents to play with in the future. What a fantastic day it was! What did you do on your last birthday? Did you have fun? There's my modelled piece of writing. So, as you can see, as well as the subheadings and the adverbials which express time and when things happened, I also highlighted how I use conjunctions and adjectives. This presentation is designed to explain that in a little bit more detail. Let's start with conjunctions. Now, what we've got in front of us here is a simple sentence. A simple sentence consists of an actor, like I, and an action, like went to the shops. Another way you could term that is they have a subject and a verb or a verb phrase. If it has both of those things, as well as being properly punctuated, then we've got ourselves a proper sentence. Now, what I've asked you to do in your recount is not just to use simple sentences like this, which are absolutely fine and very useful, but I've asked you to think about how you can add detail to them and turn them from simple complexes into compound or complex sentences. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, so we've got that same simple sentence. Rather than end it there, though, I'm going to get rid of that punctuation and I'm going to think about how I could add another clause using one of these conjunctions. So this and conjunction is really useful. It's a really useful tool for adding extra clauses which have equal weighting. For example, I went to the shops and you could add another clause to explain another thing you did. I went to the shops and I bought some food, full stop. The but conjunction, on the other hand, is used to add clauses of contrasting information, opposite information. In this instance, I went to the shops, but I could then add a clause which said something I did not do or I was not able to do on that journey. For example, I went to the shops, but I could not find any flour, full stop. The because and so connectives are very similar. They're both used to explain why something happened. For example, I went to the shops because I was hungry and I needed food. Or I went to the shops because it was my turn. So, what can it be used? I went to the shops so I could buy some groceries. These four conjunctions, I think, are probably the most useful and we'll use the most often. So I would expect to see you using some of these, if not all of these conjunctions, in your recount. Now, as well as using some different conjunctions to add clauses, especially the and, but, because, and so ons, I'll also ask you to use some adjectives to create expanded noun phrases. So what I've got here is I've got a compound sentence because it's got that and conjunction in. So it says, I went to the shops and bought food. Now, in order to create some expanded noun phrases using adjectives, the first thing I suppose is I need to identify which are my noun phrases. By a noun, the definition we've used in the class before is anything which can hurt you or you can hurt. Something you can pick up and touch. Something you can move around. So in here, I went to, there we go. Shops, that's a noun. Okay. So I could later, if I wanted to, I could turn that from a noun. I'll get my highlighter pen out. I could turn that into a noun phrase. Oh, that wasn't very good, was it? Let me try again. Much better. So rather than say I went to the shops, I could turn that into a more expanded phrase. Are there any other nouns here? Food, that's another noun. Okay. So rather than just food, again, I could turn that into a noun phrase. Now, as you notice, in the English language, when we add extra information about nouns, we do it before the noun and before the noun. Okay, in other languages, they do things slightly differently, but in English, this is how we do things. Okay, and the tool that we often use to create expanded noun phrases is adjectives, describing words. So I went to the shops. Can I think of a word to describe the shops? Fantastic. I went to the local shops. It describes the shops for me. I went to the local shops and bought some tasty food. There we go. Okay. What I've done there is I've turned my noun, let me get me a highlighter ready. I've turned my noun from a simple noun into a noun phrase. I turned shops into local shops. I turned food into tasty food. And the tool that I used to do so was using adjectives. Now, in this instance, on this occasion, I chose to just use one adjective to create my expanded noun phrase. But actually, something we've practiced in the classroom before is using multiple adjectives, more than one. And the technique we've used in the past is to use 3 adjectives. Now, this is a brilliant technique, but it comes with its own challenges. Once we start using multiple adjectives, we need to start thinking about the order that we put those adjectives. Here, for example, is a help sheet that we created ages ago when we were describing the events of the Great Fire of London, because it helped us to put the adjectives into the right order. When we use 3 adjectives, we can start with an adjective which talks about the size of an object, how big it is. Then we can include an adjective which explains our opinion about it, what we think about it. And finally, we can use an adjective about the colour or the appearance, what it looks like, basically. Let me show you how this might look in practice in this particular context. So here we have a simple sentence. I ate my birthday cake. My first job is to identify the noun, or the noun phrase. There we go. birthday cake. That's the object. That's the thing I could pick up. That's the thing I could hurt or could hurt me. So at the moment, it's quite a simple noun phrase. I'm going to expand the noun phrase using 3 adjectives. So my adjectives are going to come in here, because we already talked about the fact that adjectives come before the noun phrase. But I'm going to think about not just using 1 adjective, I'm going to try and use 3. Let me just go back and check. Start with size. Okay. I ate my, I think, wow, it was a huge. I ate my huge. When I use multiple adjectives, I separate them with commas. I ate my huge, size, opinion. What do I think about the birthday cake? I ate my huge, ooh, lovely. I think it's lovely. My huge, lovely opinion. What colour was it? What did it look like? Oh, colourful. That's a nice one. I'm going to steal that one. Huge, comma, lovely, colourful. I ate my huge, lovely, colourful birthday cake. So in your recount, if you want to use multiple adjectives, more than 1, that's a brilliant idea. Why not use 3? But be careful about the order or the sequence that you use those adjectives. Try and stick to that general rule we've followed in the past. The first adjective talks about the size, the second adjective talks about what you think about it, and the third adjective, the colour or the appearance. Okay? Good luck, guys. I really, really hope to be sent some emails with some brilliant pieces of birthday recount writing, which, as well as information about subheadings and headings, and as well as information about adverbials which express time, I'd love to see some conjunctions being used to add clauses, and I'd really love to see some adjectives used to create expanded noun phrases. Good luck, guys.